This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. Banks, retail, food, railroad, industries that some might not be as prominent as they were then, such as railroads. But in the 1800s, pretty much every single industry you can think of all could be connected to this specific secret society, Skull and Bones, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard of, because George Bush and his father are both members of this exclusive secret society held on Yale campus, as well as John Kerry and many others. Now, it's important to realize that these Ivy League schools are recruiting grounds because there are people who are members of these secret societies that aren't bloodline members. We know, of course, that if you're born into the Rockefeller bloodline or the Rothschild bloodline or the Bush bloodline or the Clinton bloodline, and you're members of these families, obviously you're going to be part of some type of secret society. But there's many secret societies inside of the pyramid, right? That's a big misconception people have. They don't realize that there's lots of different groups who still battle for power. Skull and Bones is one of these powerful groups, but it's a small group inside of a huge pyramid. Each year they only bring in 15 new members, no more, no less. And they decide which members they're going to pick during their junior year. So it's a 1-year on-campus secret society, which really takes off after these people graduate, because they do meet in secret. They still meet at Yale. It's been noted that they meet on Deer Island in the St. Lawrence River annually to discuss things. But they only spend 1 year on campus in this exclusive club. Now, they're chosen based on a variety of things. If there's somebody who's not a part of a bloodline and not a family member of another Bonesman, they look specifically for not just people who are masters of academics, because remember, these are Ivy League schools, and it's not like there's, Yale's the only one. Harvard has their secret society. Stanford has really, really secret societies where even the names of some of these clubs don't come out and people don't know about them. But these are people who succeeded above and beyond inside of their system. And those are the kind of people that they want to groom, because they're people who follow the system, who succeed in the system, and then they want them to grow after they mold them more and manipulate them more into the matrix and flourish inside of the system. They also specifically look for athletes or people who are team players. They don't like people who are loners, lone wolves, as you'd say. So obviously somebody like myself would not fit in very well. I guess I wouldn't have been recruited if I was on Yale campus, but the feeling's mutual. I'd rather pour cement in my eyes than be a part of one of these fraternal secret societies. So that's not the only secret society that's on Yale's campus. They also have Scroll and Keys, another secret society, as well as Wolfhead. Some of you might have seen some of the footage, which obviously we don't know if it's legit or not, because it did air on ABC, where they supposedly people snuck inside of a ceremony at Skull and Bones and filmed it, a fake mock murder ritual.
He's come pretty close. She was part of a team that successfully recorded part of the initiation ceremony that takes place in the Tombs courtyard.
Okay, you have the doorway here.
Yeah.
Okay, then to the right, you have a hedge, and then you have an evergreen tree. If you follow that line straight back, courtyard's in there.
So that's where they have the ceremonies in
the outdoor part of it was indoors. So we only got to see the outdoor part.
Right.
We only got to and listen to the outdoor part. God only knows what went on indoors.
And what did you hear? What was it you managed to get this unique?
Oh, it was disgusting. It was gross. I mean, they were pretending to murder people.
What was the tone of it though? Was it jokey or was it
No, it wasn't jokey at all. It was sick. It's not the only way to describe it. It was sick.
What you're hearing is the first recording ever made of the Skull and Bones initiation ceremony. It has never been broadcast before. 15 new members of the club are being introduced into the macabre rituals of Skull and Bones by the senior students who are about to graduate. The club has what some might see as a strange fascination with death, skulls and bones. There's the chants too, difficult to hear first of all,
rituals are the types of rituals that they perform. It's the same type of rituals we see at Bohemian Grove. It's the same type of rituals that the Freemasons perform. They do mock murders. These are all things that are done when these people are indoctrinated and are progressing inside of these fraternal secret societies. Now, when you think of the control that these powerful families have, specifically here in our country, but there is also, obviously, around the world, other orders. Here, the Order of Skull and Bones. Over in the UK, they have the group at Oxford, which is linked to the Rothschilds. The group is another secret society, and it also has links to Skull and Bones. But look at this. Now, you might not have heard of some of these families, but when you see what they're prominent in and what really they have a lot of control over, it's laughable. Because these people all come from inside of Skull and Bones, and these are all industries, especially in the 1800s, that gave these people tons of control. We have the Whitney family, the Perkins family, the Stimson family, the Taft family, and of course, as all of us know, Taft became the son of the original Taft, who was one of the founders, became president of the United States. The Wadsworth family, the Gilman family, the Phelps family, the Bundy family, the Lord family, and then of course we get the Rockefeller family, who at the time was really in control of Standard Oil, along with another family who's one of the prominent families in the order, the Payne family. So we have Standard Oil, control of oil, right? Then we get the Davison family, who's linked to J.P. Morgan and the bankers and the Browns. Then we get the Harriman family, who was in control of the railroads. That family is also linked to the Bush family. We get the Weyerhaeuser family in control of lumber, the Sloan family in control of retail, and the Pillsbury family. Remember the Pillsbury Doughboy? And I'm not talking about Buddha. The Pillsbury Doughboy, right? Ring a bell? Pillsbury, still a prominent company, selling poison, passed off as food. Well, before they were a brand name, they were in control of flour milling. So we have Standard Oil control through the order, control of the railroads, which at the time, railroads are still something that's very important for them, but obviously it's not as important as it used to be. So they had railroads, oil, lumber to build, retail to sell, banking with J.P. Morgan, as well as the Browns and other banksters, and food, flour milling. All of this connected to this one secret society, this one order out of thousands of orders in this country. Obviously, Skull and Bones is one of the more prominent organizations inside of the pyramid. But remember, when members of this group, there's not as many as you would think, because they only bring in 15 new people a year. So when they go into, the Trilateral Commission, the Bilderberg Group, the Council on Foreign Relations, see, these are all larger organizations made up of people from many different secret societies. So I'm trying to symbolize this so the younger people out there understand. So these are groups, these bigger groups where they go and they meet and they dictate policy on world government, really is what they're doing. And there's people there who make up a few inside a smaller order who are part of Skull and Bones, right? Out of maybe 35 people, 100 people, however many are involved in these meetings. And there's also people there from other secret societies, whether it's somewhere from Stanford, somewhere from Harvard or Princeton. So this is where there's division amongst the elites, because there are groups within groups. And there's always a struggle for power, because these people, as we know, are sick, demented, and egotistical. And that's something people always forget, because they think, well, it's all, they're all together as one, and they all, their goal is always to go after us. They go after us at will, because we allow it to happen. They don't even worry about us. We're dead to them. They know, that they have us under their fingertip right now. But these are the kind of sick people who always want more. They want more money, more power, more influence. So they do have differences of opinion inside of their order based on, well, these are bonesmen, and these other people, are members of other secret societies, and there's always this conflict and power struggle. But it's important to remember that these people do have conflicts with one another. They're not always on the same page. Now, out of the order, we have so many things that were set up. Really, they have their hand in everything in American society. The order is connected to the White House executive branch, legislatures, political parties, law, education, media, publishing, business industry, commerce, banking, the Federal Reserve, churches, and of course, think tanks, foundation groups, policy groups. Now, this is something that's important to know because it was the order who really was ahead at the time, ahead of the curve. They realized that they'd be able to control people's minds by creating a fake history, by manipulating history and world events. And they set up the American Historical Association, along with the American Economic Association, the American Chemical Society, and the American Psychological Association. They were all started by members of the order. And these are all things that are extremely important for conditioning our society. They were smart enough, and I shouldn't say smart enough, because it's disgusting and it's despicable how these people think. But they realized by doing these things, by having control of these things, that they would be able to have mind control and control of the masses. But the elements that they focus so much on are education and how the population of the future will behave, money, the means of holding wealth, law, politics, history, psychology, which is controlling how people think, philanthropy, which I've talked about with David Rockefeller, which is a huge thing that these elites use. People think well of the controllers, right? So we look at people and the masses will look at David Rockefeller and say, he was a philanthropist. What a great guy. He donated so much money. So it creates this fake vision of who these people are. They don't realize that these people are dancing around in cloaks in the woods and ritually sacrificing humans, children, animals, you name it, and worshiping Satan. Control over medicine, the power over health, life and death, pharmaceuticals, religion, people's spiritual beliefs, media, which we know they have full control over, and continuity, which is the power to appoint who follows in your footsteps to make sure that the order continues on. So we have all of these families who have a hand in all of these massive, massive, massive industries, right? Everything that pretty much matters, these people are linked to. But nobody says boo. Nobody goes, oh. Everybody looks at college fraternities and stuff. And of course, there's just some stupid fraternities out there. But at some of these prestigious schools, these secret societies and fraternal orders are gateways and breeding grounds for these people. And that's why Skull and Bones, you know, they're only on campus senior year, these people. They have 1 year on campus, which pretty much tells you that it's a secret society for after college, right? You go there, you spend 3 years, you're on your last year about to graduate, you join this order, and then this order ends up meeting off campus after you graduate. Should tell people enough about this secret society and the control that they have, and how these people are doing things after the fact. Because remember, they've created this illusion about these Ivy League schools that we're all supposed to bow down to these people, and, oh, he went to Princeton, oh, he must be better, right? You can put one person next to the other, and you can have 100 people stand there and go, what's your background? Oh, I'm a plumber, went to community college, dropped out. Okay, what about you? I went to Harvard, and then go, okay, who would you trust more? Everyone would point to the guy who went to Harvard, right? Not about his character, not about who he is. It's about the social status. They've created this mind control for people about schools and schooling because they're the ones who go to these schools and they use these schools as breeding grounds for people that they're going to bring in to their secret societies, bring in to government positions, to banking positions, to financial positions. And it's really just control. That's what it is. So remember, this isn't the only order, but Skull and Bones, as most people are aware of, is probably the top order in America. But don't think for 1 second that, you know, people who go to Stanford or go to other schools and are part of these secret societies don't conflict with them inside of the pyramid for power, for who has more control, whose secret society is better, whose order is better, because these people are egomaniacs. But nonetheless, it shows you that these groups and these organizations, not because these people are so successful, oh, the Bushes, just each generation just happens to be so smart, even though these guys are dumb as rocks. It's a controlling system, right? It's a bloodline system. And then when they recruit new members, if they succeed inside of the system, it leaks down to their children and their bloodline. Just like Prescott Bush to George Bush Jr. People need to be aware of this because people just think, well, it's only Freemasonry. Okay, there's so many secret orders and secret societies. There's covens, there's satanic secret societies, there's obviously the Freemason secret societies. There's Jesuit secret societies. And if people became more aware and they just started looking at it going, wow, what are these groups about? And how come everybody who joins one of these groups gets put in a position of, not because a position of power, not because they're so much smarter and better than anyone else, because it's a system of control. We live in a system of control with the illusion that we're free, that this is a republic. These secret orders control everything going on around the world, whether it's in America and it's the order, or whether it's over in the UK and it's the group. It doesn't make a difference. If people became aware of these things, they should be outlawed. They should be stopped. They shouldn't be allowed to do stuff in secret. Everybody should have the same mindset that if somebody's doing something in secret, it's probably not a good thing. So this is Skull and Bones. This is Yale's prominent secret society, one of the secret societies there, but the prominent one, and probably the most prominent one in America, especially with its roots into so many industries in America, including the Federal Reserve. It's disgusting. It really, really is. I remember when I was growing up, I always thought the kids who were joining the frats were the biggest losers. I would just say, what is the point? I gotta run around wearing a shirt. I gotta be one of these guys, right? I gotta be, I got a shirt that says El Papa Poopa on it. Oh, great, cool. Let's go drink beer and do keg stands and let's all, yo, bro, you want me to rip your shirt off and I'm going to shave your chest and haze you. Someone does that to me, they're getting popped pretty quick. Pop with a right hook. But I always thought that those groups were the biggest joke. And it's funny how God works, because, at that time I wasn't really awake at all. I just knew something was really wrong with the world that we live in. But looking back on it, it's funny. I always looked at these frats and stuff like that as an embarrassment. It always bothered me. And knowing that they don't like loners, they don't like people who don't go along with the team and go along with the plan, they hate those people, makes me feel pretty good. Because guess what? I hate you guys too. So as far as I'm concerned, the Order of 322 can stick it. I thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families. This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. A lot of people have messaged me, asking me, requesting that I do a video on this, so I'm going to. Take a listen to what Lil Uzi Vert, also known as Lucifer, I mean, if you have common sense and you say, why is his name Lil Uzi Vert? I wonder why. Lil Uzi Vert, say it 3 times fast, not Lucifer. I mean, give me a break. But take a listen to what this guy says to his audience. And I'm sure some of you have heard it already, and I apologize for some of the graphic language, but take a listen for yourself at the wonderful things that this scumbag has to say to his audience.
Hold on, let me explain something real quick. Before everybody starts screaming and saying, like I told y'all earlier, you motherfuckers have entered the rapture. And if ain't nobody flying up to heaven right now, obviously all y'all motherfuckers going to hell. Right with me. So, let's get it. Oh, you already here. I'm so sorry. You can't get out. You're stuck. It's over. You heard the song a million times and you didn't even know. That's fucked up. But I still love you anyway. Oh, it's okay. You still love me? You do? That's why I love you, because you don't judge me. I love you. Hold on, let me explain something real quick. Before everybody starts screaming and saying, like I told y'all earlier, you motherfuckers have entered the rapture. And if ain't nobody flying up to heaven right now, obviously all y'all motherfuckers going to hell. Right with me. So, let's get it. Oh, you already here. I'm so sorry. You can't get out. You're stuck. It's over. You heard the song a million times and you didn't even know. That's fucked up.
Oh, but I'm sure he's joking, right? I'm sure it's a big joke. Well, it's not going to be a big joke come Judgment Day. And this isn't the first time that this guy has said something like this. Here's another clip of him talking about selling his soul. People think it's a big joke, right?
Did I sell my soul? I sold my soul for you. Now figure that out. Tell me I sell my soul. I sold my soul for you. For all you motherfuckers that's on here, that's asked me. That's asked me did I sell my soul? Why the fuck is y'all on here if y'all think I sold my soul? Y'all coming right with me, you dummies. Yeah.
So let's look at it from this standpoint. Let's just call it Satanism for dummies, right? Let's just say you're somebody out there, you're aware of the Bible, you've never read it, you're aware of Satan, maybe you don't believe it, maybe you do, but you don't need to be a Bible thumper or someone who reads the Bible every day to see the signs when it comes to this guy, okay? Not only is he telling you that you're all damned to follow him, because remember, all of these musicians, their job, they're hired, they go through these initiation processes and these secret societies from Masonry, and then they jump over to other satanic cults. But their job and the reason that they get pushed is to do this to the masses, to lead them. The whole goal in this spiritual battle is to take souls. It's either to lead souls to Jesus Christ or to lead souls to Satan. And all these musicians want to do is pollute the youth with the satanic mindset. That's why guys like Lil Uzi Vert have songs about doing what they want. Lil Uzi Vert has a song, Do What I Want, right? It's a common mindset with all of these rappers, pop singers, right? Do what you want. Do what makes you happy. And everybody goes, oh yeah, that sounds great. They don't realize that they're being indoctrinated with occult teachings. With Aleister Crowley's, do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Quote, Aleister Crowley, do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. And love is the law. Love under will. Get it? You get why it's do what you want, and then everything they talk about is love, 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 because love is tolerance, and that's part of the deception. So you have Lil Uzi Vert, who has a song entitled that, but let's just say, like I said earlier, that we're doing Satanism for dummies, right? People who don't know this stuff, who don't know about, all the symbolism, whether it's the Masonic tiles, like I just covered a few days ago with him and Young Thug, or whatever the guy's name is, dancing on the black and white tiles, the same stuff over and over. Let's just start from basic, generic, you can have an IQ of 2 and you can figure this stuff out. The guy's got a song called 444 plus 222. Okay? Now, if you can't calculate that, I recommend you get a calculator. And if you can't calculate that, I recommend maybe you, get off your phone for a little while. But 444 plus 222 is 666. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is. Crazy, right? 666. Where do we know that number from? Well, everybody who's walking this earth is aware of 666, okay? The book of Revelation, chapter 13, verse 18. Here is a call for wisdom. Let the one who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and that number is 666. Okay, so in case you didn't know where that was from. It's from the Bible, right? The book that most people out there think isn't real, yet everything that we see in mainstream pop culture, everything is referencing scripture all the time, because that's how amazing God is. That prophecy is being fulfilled, and if you read the Bible and you understand the Bible, you see prophecy being fulfilled, and then you see these losers like Lil Uzi Vert doing everything they can to mock God, to talk about God, reference Jesus, and mock him, yet the people listening to the music don't even know what he's saying. And they just go, oh yeah, Lil Uzi Vert, can't wait to get to this concert. Cool. I mean, I covered Lil Uzi Vert in one of his videos where he's actually taking the bloodbath, right? The satanic bloodbath, when Satanists are indoctrinated, and they're initiated, I should say, in Satanism. And they take this bloodbath, and that's why you always see these people doing bloodbaths, or references to baths and the baptism in their videos. It's not hard to see this stuff, folks. You can see him in one of his videos, Money Longer, riding around, right, on the bike, 333. What does that represent? Oh, it represents 1/3 of the fallen angels, who these people represent. And you get your Masonic 33, right, and him dancing on the black and white tiles, wearing the black and white. All this stuff is connected, and it's connected through these secret societies. But the main concern here is the fact that people like this are leading souls to hell. I mean, he says, you're going to hell with me. He says it in a live stream. He says it at his concert. And people just cheer. Yeah, cool. People need to understand you're walking around here on earth, and everyone's distracted by this matrix that they've created. How are you going to pay your bills? What are you going to do for fun tonight? Work hard, play hard. What's next? What am I going to do next? Right? Everybody's got anxiety and depression from all the chemicals they're dumping on us. Nobody's thinking straight. So people aren't worried about hell because it's not happening right now. Right? People only worry about what's going on right now. They're like, hey, you know you get cancer from drinking Coca-Cola. And they go, okay. Until they get cancer, they go, I shouldn't have drank all that soda for that aspartame. Or, hey, you can get cancer from smoking cigarettes a pack a day. Then they, oh, no, I feel great. And then 10 years later, 20 years later, they get cancer. Well, the same thing should be applied to hell. Sure, you might not see it right now in front of you, but think about eternity in hellfire. Is that going to be fun? When you're down there with your hero, Lil Uzi Vert? And you got guys like Crawley trying to pack your fudge. Is that going to be fun? No, it's not. People need to stop living in the now, which is what they want. Live in this moment right now and do what thou wilt. Right? That's a marketing slogan and campaign we always hear. People need to stop. Sure, you live in this now and you do stuff right now in this moment, but you need to think about what you do right now and how it affects you long term. And more important than getting cancer or any of these things with your flesh here on earth, you should be worrying about your salvation. You shouldn't be worrying about all of this earthly crap. What does the Bible tell us about the things of the world? In 1 John chapter 2, verse 15, do not love the world or anything in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. Yet they've created this world to love the things of the world. Love a new car, love a new house, love your new clothes, get your expensive jewelry, buy things, love things, right? And the Bible tells us that those things get dusty, that do not store up treasure here on earth. But this is the mindset that they've created for our society, and I warn people who follow this guy who are going to stumble upon this video and think it's a big joke. Oh, little Uzi Vert. Oh, he's talking about going to hell. Relax. Oh, you're a Bible-thumping Christian. Oh, you're the ones that have been duped. No, we're not. Those of us with eyes to see and ears to hear, we see prophecy being fulfilled every day. Your channels out there talking about being truthers and they deny the Bible and deny Jesus Christ. You're going to call these people truthers? They're complete jackasses. The only truth in this world is Jesus Christ. Period. And my concern is for people's souls out there who are getting led astray by worshiping these false idols, who are not thinking about heaven or hell because it's not happening in front of them right now. But when the trumpet sounds, it's going to be too late. If you have not professed that Jesus Christ is the Messiah, is the King of Kings. Because if you haven't, you still have time to do that, and you need to. Because otherwise, you think this life is long? You think back 10 years ago when you were in high school or middle school or however old you might be? And you're like, wow, that seems like centuries ago. Man, when I was in high school, and you're only in your 30s or 40s? Yeah, well, think about that times infinity. Because that's how long hell is, eternity. And these people want to lead you there. So you got a guy who calls himself Lucifer. You got a guy doing the bloodbath. You got a guy throwing up the 666. You got a guy driving his bike in the video with the 33. You think it's a coincidence? Telling you he's going to take you to hell with him, that he sold his soul for you, the fans. I mean, boy, how many of these artists do you need to hear say, I sold my soul. I sold my soul for rock and roll. I sold my soul. I sold my soul. From Bob Dylan on down. How many you need to hear? Until you go, wow, a lot of people saying the same thing here. But, you think so? My concern is the youth out there being led astray because they don't understand the severity of this. And they think everything's a joke. I posted a video about a guy trapping toddlers as a joke. He's doing it as a joke. I didn't say in the video he's really doing this. But I'm saying that this is the stuff that plants seeds in people's heads. This is the stuff that can create trauma-based mind control on children without even realizing you're doing it. This is the stuff that waters people down into thinking everything's a joke. And that's what they've done. They've made everybody think everything's a joke. So people come and they go, oh, come on, you can't, he yells it at a concert, you can't take it seriously, yeah? Well, you're going to be the ones who are getting rear-ended down in hell for the rest of your, for all of eternity. And I do care whether people want to believe it or not. I do care about these people who are led astray because I understand what they're doing. I understand that mind control is real and it's severe. And I want to help people wake up and see this stuff. So please, even if you think this is a joke, take a second, step aside, look at this stuff, go through some of my videos, go through other channels out there that make videos on this stuff. If you don't like the sound of my voice or the style that I present myself in, which is me. But do yourself a favor and find salvation before it's too late, because eternity is a long time. And guys like Lil Uzi Vert, their only concern is gaining more souls for Satan. That's what they get paid for. That's what these people are put in the spotlight for. That's it. And once they stop doing it, or if they try to stop doing it, they're done. They'll make up a story, oh, this person became a drug addict, this person's not, this person lost their mind, they went crazy, they went cuckoo. Their only goal is to lead you astray. Because this is a battle for souls, spiritual warfare. So Lil Uzi Vert telling his audience he's going to take them to hell with him. Absolutely unbelievable, folks. And people don't blink at this kind of stuff. You better start taking it serious. Because it's your soul that's on the line. Remember, it's never too late to get saved. And salvation can only be obtained through Jesus Christ. I thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families. This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. This is a video that I kind of want to rant about, but it's important that everybody listen and step back. Because everybody's emotions are being played off of, especially in this truth movement. Now, I know there's people who listen to my channel who believe in Trump, who like the the alt-right media, which again, I am not a part of, because I don't believe in the left and right. I don't believe this is a republic for the millionth time. But this is something that people need to hear, because the truth movement, the alt-right movement, is actually deceiving so many people into taking away free speech. They're deceiving people and playing on their emotions. Now, when I started my channel, I made it really clear as to what my channel was about, what I wanted to talk about, exposing Satanism, exposing the occult, the secret societies, exposing a lot of the stuff that goes on with these children, which we all know about. I let people know about McMartin and how that really was key in my awakening process, right? And understanding what these people really are all about. Talking about that to adrenochrome and all this other stuff. But now what I've seen happen is this movement, in a sense, has been hijacked by people who are playing off of the emotions of the awoken, right? So we've all talked about how free speech is being censored online, right? It's happened to me, it's happened to other channels. I've had my channels taken down, I've had them reinstated, I've had strikes on videos that make no sense. Everybody knows this, and everybody sees what's been going on YouTube, right? Now, we all look at it from that perspective, and we go, well, no one's going to stand for this because they're not, if they're going to take away our free speech, others out there are going to get pissed off too because that they want to stand for the Constitution. They want to have a right to free speech as well. So what we've seen happen is a lot of people who are in the alt-right, or a lot of people who are in the truth movement, who have been complaining about censorship and all this stuff, the plants, like I've talked about, like Mike Cernovich, the guys who flash the 666 sign all the time, who just arrived on the scene as the voice of reason, right? Who pushed the political Trump agenda. All these guys, all these puppets. What they've done is they've gone out and they've complained about, they're getting their YouTube channels terminated. They're getting their Twitter accounts taken down, right? And people who are in the truth movement are all riled up. Oh, it's not fair. And this is this liberal attack. And now they've played off of your emotion and they flipped it. And this is the problem that I have with all of it. Now, obviously, I don't stand for any type of child abuse, any type of joking about it. I think is disgusting. But I do believe in free speech, and I'm sure a lot of you heard about this guy. And I'm going to show you examples of it. We'll start with this guy, James Gunn, right? and the whole story about how Cernovich and all these alt-right people went through his Twitter account and found a lot of creepy jokes, right? Creepy jokes referring to stuff involving children, right? Nobody stands for that. Nobody thinks that that's funny. Nobody thinks that that's great, right? None of us do. But at the same time, you can't link and say, well, oh my goodness, we need to have his, this guy needs to get fired and this guy needs to have his Twitter account taken away because, oh, everybody's gone through his Twitter account. You know why we can't do that? Because this is an agenda that they're now manipulating people who are awake with into going, oh man, let's go through all these actors' Twitter accounts. This is what they want you to do. Because now they want people on the right calling for censorship of free speech. So everybody went through this guy's, his posts. He made a lot of disgusting jokes, which isn't surprising. I mean, we've seen all of these celebrities crack jokes, from Bob Saget to this guy. You can go through people's posts and Twitter posts and see just really creepy jokes. And we've seen people out there defending Pizzagate and all this stuff, making jokes about that. Okay? But there comes a fine line where you go, all right, well, if we're going to do the same thing, you got to realize that's what they want you to do. If we're going to do the same thing that they're doing to us, the whole point is that there should be no censorship of free speech. Right? And just because somebody cracks jokes about this stuff doesn't mean they're guilty of it. Is it likely that these people are involved? Of course it's likely. I mean, you know how my feeling is about it. You know my feeling about Hollywood and the entertainment industry. I feel all these people are in on it, right? They've all been blackmailed into this stuff, and this is how they keep their brotherhood intact, because nobody's going to leak these secrets, because they're just going to go, oh, but we've got footage of this guy doing it, right? So none of that stuff's ever going to get out. But what I'm seeing now is a trend that I want to make sure you see. So step away. If you're somebody who's into this and you're going, yeah, that guy deserves to get fired, step away from your emotions about somebody cracking creepy jokes about kids and realize the bigger agenda. And the bigger agenda is constant censorship of free speech online. Right? And people are falling into it now. They're going, oh, well, Trump's going to come out and Trump's going to make sure that the alt-right people aren't getting censored anymore. So then the liberals will fire back and everybody will keep going back and forth until there's no free speech online anymore. And so they go, okay, we need to put parameters in as to what can and can't be said. So here's another example. Baseball player, Josh Hader, plays for the Milwaukee Brewers, right? Pitching in the All-Star game a few days ago, and people just decided to go through his Twitter post from 2012 or 2009, or, as far back as when he was a teenager, and they found quotes that came across racist quotes, right? He used the N-word, I believe, and things like that, and anti-gay quotes, right? And everybody's in an uproar. Oh, should baseball suspend him over the tweets that he made 10 years ago? People are throwing batteries at the guy when he goes out in the game. Do you see the common trend here about free speech, right? Now, people better start deleting all their Twitter posts and their Facebook posts. Okay, this is about free speech and hate speech, right? And using anything negative that anyone has ever said to take away free speech, which means taking away free speech from people like us who are trying to get the truth out. Right? They're going to start with stuff like anti-gay slurs. So we can speak and say, well, this is an agenda. And they say, no, that's hate speech, right? We've seen them do that already to this channel and many other channels. Right? Stuff about events that are going on and going, oh, no. That's hate speech because those people are vulnerable beings, right? They're going to redefine these terms to censor us. That's why people can't fall for this alt-right truth trap. Another example I covered at the time was Jonathan Martin, a football player who, posted, with all the stuff that was going on in Florida with the guns and, all the stuff that we see going on, posted, when you're a bully victim and a coward, your options are suicide or revenge. And he posted a picture of a gun with bullets, right? And then he had to go into a psych clinic or something like that. And the police came to his door for what he posted. That is what this is overall about. So don't think it's about left and right. And the right is trying to do the same thing that the left's trying to do. The right is trying to censor your free speech as well. And they're playing off of your emotions with these, child trafficking rings. And they're going, look, these guys are cracking jokes about it. And everybody obviously gets in an uproar because any normal human being is not supporting that stuff. And any normal human being is getting pissed off seeing people talk about children in such a disgusting way. But you got to separate that and realize that they're playing you, because everything is a psychological operation. All of these stories blowing up in the mainstream of all of these people and going through people's Twitter accounts and things that they've said, this is about censorship and them coming out with new laws and new rules as to what's hate speech and what's free speech, and what are the blurred lines between, as YouTube even says, bullying vulnerable individuals, right? Which would tie into talking about any of these events that go on, any of these shootings or any of that stuff, and saying, oh, is it real or is it fake? Well, you can't decide if it's real or it's fake. And you'll say, well, why not? My free speech. You'll say, well, because you're bullying vulnerable individuals. People who have just gone through a tragedy and families who have gone through a tragedy, and now you're censored from questioning and talking about it. And that's what they want. That's the overall agenda here. Right? It's not just going to be this big thing where they go, free speech is now gone, you can't talk about this, you can't talk about that. They're going to keep creating events like this, and people are going to lose their jobs, right? Killings and stuff will happen over these events. The baseball player, more guys like him will pop up. They'll get suspended from baseball from something they tweeted when they were in high school. And they'll say, well, how do we step in and what can we do about this? Well, there's got to be a fine line between what people can and can't say. And people go, yeah, you're right. Saying the N-word, right? That's all a psyop. Calling somebody who's gay, the F-word. Psyop, right? They're playing off of your emotions to make you think, oh my gosh, and that word is going to kill them because it's so hurtful and harsh, and we need to censor it. And that censorship isn't just leading to, this love movement that I've been talking about, but, everything's love, everything's positivity, because everything's tolerance, and just like Crawley preaches, right? How everything is going to be under love, that do without will shall be the whole of the law, but law under love, right? So just don't fall for these psychological things, because they're playing off of your emotions day and night. Everything they do is psychological. Everything. From fear porn to you name it. Things like this with tweets. They are playing on your emotions so that you ask for your rights to be taken away. Because this stuff's not going to be forced. I've said it a million times. People are, they're going to force it. They're going to be, next thing you know, you're going to open up your door, there's going to be a military tank outside. Huh? I don't think so. You know what's going to happen? There's going to be a military tank outside when the people clamor for it. Because psychologically, they're going to trick you into thinking it's what's best for you. Psychologically, they're going to trick you into saying, you know what? We need to censor what people say because it's hateful. And because of things like the anti-bullying movement, people are so soft, they can't deal with any backlash. They can't deal with any negativity. So now you have the alt-right who's playing at the same exact thing, and they know how to play with your emotions because they know that you people, me, all of us are not monsters, and they know by talking about anything involving children, it's going to make us repulsed and sick. And I'm not saying that this guy isn't one of them. I'm saying this is the agenda behind it. And remember, these guys take the bullet for the brotherhood. They know what the agenda is. All these celebrities with the Me Too movement all took the bullet. You don't think they're still getting paid? You don't think they're, enjoying life, not having to work? Harvey Weinstein, all these guys, not that they worked anyway. It's all part of it. And the victim to all this stuff is going to be now us on the other side, because everything is being inverted, right? It originally was about us getting censored. And we heard about all these, Cernoviches and Siemens, and their accounts are suspended. They don't have free speech. Now Trump is going to do something about it, right? And everything flips the other way where, we're finding people who have quotes about little kids on their Twitter account, and they should lose their jobs. They should have their Twitter account suspended. They shouldn't be allowed to speak, right? And I get where people are emotionally attached and go, they shouldn't be. Screw them. I feel the same way about these people. But you can't be calling for their free speech to be taken away, because guess what? It's going to lead to your free speech being taken away. And that's what these alt-right puppets are now trying to do. They're manipulating you off your emotions so that they can pass laws, and people can come in and go, look, now we can stop these pedos from talking and saying stuff online about, or cracking jokes about kids. Okay. But in between the fine line of the new laws that are going to be passed, you're not going to be allowed to bully vulnerable individuals. And that means talk about anything that goes against the narrative, anything they decide is bullying. Psychological, remember that. They're always playing on your emotion. There's a reason that these are the mainstream stories, that some pitcher in the middle of an all-star game, suddenly everybody's looking at his quotes from his Twitter post from 5 years ago, and he's getting called a racist, and he should lose his job. And this isn't the only story. There's tons of these stories are out there with celebrities, with musicians, with athletes, and it's going to continue ramping up. So don't fall for the alt-right trying to do this stuff, because they're not trying to help any victims of this stuff. Because in the case of this guy Gunn, where are the victims? He's just cracking creepy jokes. And people are calling for him to lose his right to free speech. Well, next is going to be you losing your right to free speech. So don't fall for this alt-right psyop. I thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families.
If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. I want to cover this artist known as Ed Sheeran. I'm not too familiar with him, but I just became familiar with him after watching some of these award shows this year and exposing the Illuminati symbolism in those shows. I've noticed that this guy has become extremely popular, and of course that is not by coincidence. So I started to look into him a little bit more to see some of the signs and the symbols within his music videos, things posted on him that he's posted himself, interviews on talk shows, and you come up with the same stuff that you always see. It's not a surprise that this is another Illuminati puppet who's being pushed through the mainstream. Remember now, they don't always have to come across as rugged or trashy. They could be guys who sing love songs. They have to bring people in from every different angle. That's why they're in every single genre. Country music gears towards a certain audience. Rap music gears towards a certain audience. Rock and roll gears towards a certain audience. This guy kind of falls in between. He's a little hipsterish, little, love songy, ballady, but he's becoming more and more popular. And it's not by surprise, it's by design. It always is by design. And I want to show you this guy's symbolism that he uses, which shows you who he's aligned with, because it's all the same symbols over and over. These are symbols that common people wouldn't use in their day-to-day life. Would you walk around taking photos, putting a hand over your eye every time somebody says cheese, or when you're put on a magazine cover, or you're doing a photo shoot? Would you deliberately do 666 hand symbolism and have it in your album and, in your thumbnails, and you doing it yourself? Of course not. This is how they communicate. Signs and symbols rule the world, because these people communicate through signs and symbols while the rest of the masses are dumbed down and not looking for these things, because the school system doesn't educate people to look for these things. They're constantly putting us in an alpha state of mind so we do not pick up on these things. But I'm going to do my best here to show you some of the signs and symbols that show that this guy is aligned with the New World Order, just like everyone else, that he's a puppet for them. And he's no different than anybody else in the music industry or in Hollywood that gets pushed to the mainstream. So right off the bat, not a surprise, this is always the common theme, right? You see him doing the all-seeing eye, holding a hand up over his eye. Is this just a coincidence? Is this why there's so many collages out there that you can see of actors and musicians holding a hand over their eye? When these people go on photo shoots, these photographers are supposedly the highest paid photographers in the world. Oh, they're so glamorous and glorious photographers. Oh, they all just ask them to do the same poses over and over by coincidence. Hey, I really love when people hold a hand over their eye. Can you do that? Okay, cool. Sure, it sounds fun. It sounds cool. Can you hold up the 666 too over your eye? Oh, okay, cool. And the masses just don't see the common themes here. But you can see him holding up his hand over his eye. The all-seeing eye. He's doing the all-seeing eye of Lucifer. This is a common theme we see throughout the Illuminati and these puppets who work for them. You can also see him holding up what appears to be a triangle piece of chocolate over his eye as well, doing more all-seeing eye symbolism. But again, this must be by coincidence, right? his album covers and his names of his albums are very, very coded. Some of which are really obvious. You'd think people would pick up on it and see it, but unfortunately they don't. Now, like I always talk about, these people always are paying homage to the Freemasons. When we see the black and white tile and all that stuff, we do see Shireen here playing a guitar in a room where there's black and white tiles. We also have an album entitled The Orange Room. Orange in numerology is 33. So he's saying the 33 room. That's what orange means. Orange is a coded color, which means 33. So he's paying homage to 33, as we all know how symbolic that number is to the New World Order, to these Freemasons. We also see another album entitled X. I've covered this many times. X is a common symbol. It represents the Antichrist. It is representative of the transformation that is to come. You will see this all the time. All of these artists always are making symbols or references to X's, whether they're holding X's up with their arms, whether there's signs behind them with an X on it. Like Carrie Underwood, I just recently covered. So many of these artists. It's a subliminal symbol. It is representative of the transformation and the mark of the beast. Okay, and the arrival and the acceptance of the Antichrist. So his album is just entitled X. His other album is titled 33 Room. And then, of course, you get another album by this guy, his latest one, which is called Divide. Now, I always talk about what's the agenda here. All people who talk about and expose the New World Order, divide and conquer, order out of chaos. So what a coincidence, his newest album, is called Divide, and he uses the division sign to dumb down the masses more. So they think that, oh, well, his last album was an X, so he loves multiplication. Now it's divide. He must really love math. Divide and multiplication. Give me a break. This is what people think that these symbols mean. Obviously, they don't mean that. He didn't name an album and work on the album because he loved to do division. He was staying up all night, dividing 100 out of 2 as many times as he could till he got the correct answer, because it probably took him a while. I don't think so. So we have the Divide album. We have 33 Room. We have X, the Antichrist, the mark of the beast. These are album names. You can also see him holding up the 666 as he holds up a little miniature paper airplane by his eye, and he's doing the 666. This is deliberately done. Anytime they do the 666, the A-OK is what the masses think it is. It is not. This is 666, and it's not the only time you see it. One of his recent songs he released happens to have the thumbnail with the 666 sign. You can see it right there. And you can see what he's doing here. Another one of the symbols he has is the black and white of the piano. Why do you think it's black and white? Because they love those colors? Yeah, it is. Because they believe in duality. It's esoteric. It's there for a reason. So those are symbols that he's throwing around. We can also see him throwing up the devil horns in photographs with other celebrities. Not a surprise. Sitting next to a guy who's throwing up the pyramid, as he's throwing up his hands almost in cube formation. I mean, this is all common. It's the same stuff we see over and over. And it's amazing to me that when you see the same things repeated over and over by these celebrities, these musicians, that people can't wake up and see that they are a part of the secret cabal, that they are at the bottom of the barrel. They are the puppets, but they are rewarded with fame and wealth here on earth, and they do their bidding. They're not the ones who are deciding what the album name is going to be or the album cover. Their handlers are. But they're the ones out there brainwashing the masses. They're just as guilty. So take your love of these false idols away and realize they're the ones who sign themselves over to this. They're the ones who are allowed to be a part of this and are allowing themselves to continue being a part of this. Now, another common theme you'll see with the Illuminati is that they do ridicule rituals. And probably 9 times out of 10, you will see at some point in somebody's career them dress up as the opposite sex. They have these men cross-dress. It is a sick perversion that they have. Up at Bohemian Grove, we have famous people, politicians walking around cross-dressing, dressing up as women. It's part of their perversion. Obviously, we're all aware of the transgender agenda that's currently going on, but we see him here dressed up as Annie Ann or Annie, whoever she's supposed to be, dressed up as a woman. This is common. We see it all the time. We hear about it all the time. These celebrities are forced into roles where they have to dress up as the opposite sex. It is part of the transgender agenda, but it's also part of their initiation ritual. It's a mocking ritual, but it is done all of the time in the occult. He can be seen in one of his videos prominently wearing a shirt, which appears to have an upside-down pyramid on it, but has lightning bolts in it. Lightning bolts, another common theme, represents Lucifer's fall, as lightning in the sky. Okay, that's why we always see lightning bolts. That's why David Bowie has a lightning bolt on his face. That's why Marilyn Manson always has a lightning bolt. Lady Gaga, you name it, you'll always see it. It's not because they're huge fans of the Weather Channel and they're sitting around wondering when the next big thunderstorm is going to come because they want to get their popcorn ready and sit on the deck and watch lightning. Another theme you'll see is songs. The theme throughout songs, because it's funny how many, I've covered this before. I talked about songs that have the word magic in it, how many musicians use the word magic. There's thousands of songs that are called magic. You'd think somebody come up with the original idea, right? Well, another one that I always talk about is One. Having a song called One, U2 One, Metallica One. There are dozens, beyond dozens of songs called One. They're not talking about the one that got away. They're not talking about their wives or their girlfriends being the one. They're talking about one, because the overall goal of the New World Order is for a one everything, a one world government, one world religion, which would be the worship of Lucifer, one currency, one language, one everything. And they continue to talk about the universal one and universal love movement. That's why all these celebrities constantly are saying, believe in love, block the hate, love, and then the word one. So he has a song called One, which is a common theme. You could go into a music database and research how many songs there are called One. It is conditioning, one everything, subliminal mind control. You can also see him do other common Illuminati symbols such as the shh, okay, the finger over the mouth. That is the vow of silence. These people are sworn to secrecy. They are sworn to protect the secrets of the oaths that they take. They are sworn into a brotherhood. And for betraying the brotherhood, the result usually ends up in death or extreme ridicule, but usually death. This goes through the Masonic lodges. They take a vow of silence, and that's what it means. That's why all these celebrities are constantly holding their finger up over their mouth. They're not just saying, hey, I farted, I've got to, shh, don't tell anyone. Okay, they're showing one another that they're a part of the brotherhood, and they've taken the vow of silence, the oath of silence, and that they're one with each other. That's why dozens of magazine covers have these people doing it. That's why Rihanna has a tattoo on her finger. She doesn't have it tattooed on her finger because she likes to keep secrets. Okay? People need to get with it. These signs and symbols, all which connect through all the secret societies, the mystery religions. Okay, you can go to the Vatican, you can go to the Zionists, you can go to the Freemason lodges. The list goes on and on. The signs and the codes are all universal with them. Whatever branch they come through, whatever coven or satanic cult they come from, they're indoctrinated with the same beliefs and the same symbols and the same signs. And unfortunately, they've taken a lot of these signs and turned it on the masses so that people see symbols and signs like this and they think it means something else, when in reality they're mocking us and doing it right in front of our faces. You can also see him doing the tongue, sticking out the tongue. A featured photo in a photo shoot that he did. This is just another one, the serpent's tongue. We see this all the time, with the tongue sticking out. Whether it's Kiss, Smiley Cyrus, almost every musician has photographs of them sticking out their tongues. They're not saying, that they want their temperature taken. Okay? This is the serpent's tongue. This is more subliminal coding. And of course, he's the ambassador, of course, of this brand entitled Hoax. That must be a coincidence as well. A brand called Hoax. If that's not rubbing it in, because that's what they do. They mock us. They rub these things in our faces. He was wearing the shirt at the Grammys with Hoax on it. Okay? They rub this stuff in our face because everything that really is going on in this world is a hoax. It's controlled by them. They are manipulating everyone's minds with these fake events and these fake disasters that they create, these terrorist attacks, all of it. It's controlled. They're even telling us that. That's why he's the grand ambassador for Hoax. I mean, who really, you can make up any name and say, oh, it's become a brand. So many people have come up with so many ideas for t-shirts that have been flushed down the toilet. Okay, this is a great idea, the word hoax on a shirt, and you get this guy to be the ambassador for it. Come on, put one and one together. It's just more mockery. So those are just some of the things that I saw through going through his videos and going through some stuff on him. The all-seeing eye, holding the pyramid over his eye, the 666, the 666 thumbnail, the album covers, X, the Antichrist, and the acceptance of the mark of the beast. Orange Room, which is 33 room. His newest album, Divide and Conquer. We see him with the black and white symbolism, performing in a room with black and white tiles. We see him cross-dressing as a woman, a common theme. The vow of silence. The tongue, sticking out the serpent's tongue, the lightning on his shirt. All of these things, these are all common themes. If you go through any of the videos I've done exposing these music industry artists, or they're not really artists, they're fartists, but you go through them, it's all the same stuff. And what's sad about it is that society looks up to these people. They think that they're creative and innovative. And if they actually sat there and dissected this stuff, they'd say, that's not very original. Why are they all doing the same stuff over and over? They're all doing the same stuff over and over because this is part of how they work. They're indoctrinating the masses with their symbols. They're showing it right in our faces, and they continue to get away with it. Signs and symbols rule the world as far as communicating. This is how they communicate, and the rest of the masses are dumbed down and not looking for it because they're too distracted and too busy all the time. So this is Ed Sheeran, another guy who some people are saying, well, he can't be in it. He's a nice guy. He comes across nice, and he sings love songs that are catchy. Well, tough. You don't get there, okay? You don't get to that level of success and fame without being one of them. He's mentored by Elton John. Do I even need to say anymore and get into how satanic and sick that guy is? The sodomite that he is, okay? I won't even get into that. But this is Ed Sheeran, Illuminati, another one of them. They're all in there, all these guys in the mainstream, no matter what genre, rap, rock and roll, country, love music, you name it. If they're famous, they're getting pushed to the forefront, they're a part of it. I thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families. This is a call for an uprising, and this is just more sickness going on in our world that even gets covered and reported from some media outlets, but people just laugh it off and think that it's no big deal. I don't know if it's just because people can't grasp how sick and deprived our world is, or if people really are that dumb or not caring. But I've talked many times about these secret societies, these secret balls. We all know about the Rothschild ball, which is a ball similar to what we've seen in the movie Eyes Wide Shut. Many of these secret societies on college campuses hold annual balls. Annual fests, I should say, right? Because the word ball is a bit dated. But they have these events which involve rituals, satanic rituals, as well as sex orgies. Now, people hear that because of today's world, and they go, wow, how cool. Cool, man. What are you, a prude? You don't approve of a sexual orgy? Oh, that sounds like a great time. These people are so sick and deprived, and they don't realize what really goes on at these orgies that they perform, these gigantic sex parties. It's not just about perversion and homosexuality. Okay, there is bestiality and pedophilia occurring at these parties. So when that gets reported on, especially what I'm about to report on here, when stuff like this gets reported, don't even think that this is the worst of the worst, because it's worse than this. If this gets out, imagine the stuff that they're keeping secret. Okay, and some of you might say, well, is that really going on? Well, this isn't the first time a story has leaked out of Oxford and their summer ball, which is organized by the Piers Gaveston Society. Now, I've talked about Oxford, okay, just like I've talked about Skull and Bones and the secret societies here in America, known as the Order Skull and Bones. Well, at Oxford, their major secret society is the Group, with members such as the Rothschilds being involved in the group. Oxford obviously yields a lot of power. So this is one of the secret societies on that campus, which is affiliated with the occult, because all of these secret societies are. So get this, at their annual summer ball, which they have every single year, well, this year it's being reported that during the debauchery at this ball that they had, that people who witnessed it claim that there was sex with a goat occurring during this party. So bestiality, which is just becoming normalized. I've talked about how in Canada, sexual acts on dogs and animals are now being allowed and not considered sexual acts unless there's penetration. So oral activity, I mean, stuff that's unfathomable, that something has to be so sickly wrong in your head to be going along with stuff like this and thinking like this and saying, oh, it's not a big deal. These people should be caged and locked up. Yet nobody seems to care. So sexual activity and sexual intercourse reported with goats. And this isn't the first time that this has come out of the Piers Gaveston Society, because 2 years ago there was a report that the Prime Minister, David Cameron, was having sex with a pig's head. Now, of course, when you hear stuff like this, especially if you're new to the awakening, you're going to go, this is ridiculous. This sounds insane. This is not really happening. But for those of us who are awake and familiar with this stuff and have unfortunately gone down the rabbit hole and studied these people and studied their rituals and studied what they do and what they believe in, and it really goes back to Babylon, we know that these people are sicker than humanly imaginable. These people are beyond sick, beyond comprehension. So I get why people will hear something like this and they'll go, that's not true. But if you understand Satanism and the occult, bestiality is normal in Satanism, as well as pedophilia. And people go, well, how could they do that to a child? Because they don't have human emotion. These people are demon possessed. Okay? Think back to Baal worship and how we know through scripture they were sacrificing their babies to Baal. This stuff is still going on. So let's get to this secret society ball, this summer ball, where apparently they're having sex with a goat. I guess they thought it was the Baphomet. Poor goat. I mean, I'm sure they sacrificed the goat afterwards. But remember, I guarantee you worse things went on other than this, which is saying something. Because all of these balls and these secret society events that they have, you don't think children are being prostituted through these events? All these fronts that they have out there, these daycare centers, these boys town clubs that they set up, that they use as fronts for human trafficking. These people are the sickest of the sick. So the private dining club, which gained notoriety 2 years ago when unfounded claims were made about former PM David Cameron taking part in a sex ritual with a pig's head. Now remember, of course they're going to say unfounded, but how does a story like this come out if it's unfounded? Somebody just randomly makes it up. But what they do is they tag these things and they'll say unfounded or crazy story because people's brains can't process this stuff because they grew up in a society or in a world where they're raised by all they know about the rest of the world is what they hear on television. They're not picking up any of these books and reading about the occult, and they shouldn't have to, and I don't recommend that anybody does, really, unless you want to start a channel and expose this stuff. Okay, there's nothing pleasurable about reading any of this stuff or finding out about it. But remember, the mindset of the common person is that they only know what's going on in their day-to-day life. They get up, they go to work, they get up, they go out on a date, they get up, they do yard, whatever their day-to-day is. The only way that they're learning about what's going on in the world is from the newspaper, the television, and the internet, right? But they're going to things that they deem credible because they're told it's credible because it's on TV, right? So CNN is credible because it's CNN. This channel wouldn't be deemed credible. It's just some crazy YouTube guy, right? Just like all of us who have channels or speak the truth. But if it's on TV, it's got to be real. But if it's on the internet or it's anyone else's opinion, it's got to be crazy. So the outside world that they know of is all that they're told. So when they hear stuff like this about rituals involving pigs' heads, they automatically dismiss it because they can't fathom it being real because they've never heard about it on TV. And the only time they would ever hear about some type of ritual would be in a horror movie, which they automatically in their brain process as fiction. So here's a breakdown just so you can visualize what happens at these types of events. This is from news.com, giving a breakdown in a sense of what occurs. A pile of naked students, which you can see these photographs, which I can't really put many of them up because they're actually walking around topless, the women, out in the open. I mean, this is more stuff that's going to be normalized. People aren't going to be wearing clothes. They're going to say, I identify as a nudist, so I don't have to wear clothes anymore. People are going to go, oh, okay, even though there's a 5-year-old walking down the street with his parents, a Christian family or just a regular family or whatever. And they have to be subjected to it because some sick lunatic decides that they identify not as a male or a female, but as a nudist. Trust me, this is what's coming. It says, clothes by girls invited purely for their looks were led around a tent wearing nipple clamps. So this is normal stuff. The guests told how privileged undergraduates celebrated finishing exams at a marquee on the nearby land of a brewing family. They were greeted by one of 12 members of the club who stood on the table in a toga. I mean, this is the same ritual. This is ritualistic. That's what it is. You hear about this stuff, right, with the Illuminati ball, with the Rothschild ball. You've seen it in Eyes Wide Shut. You hear about it in all of these these large Ivy League schools, and they go, well, this is just normal. They're celebrating finishing. They're rituals, okay? That's what they're involved in, rituals. Whether it's bestiality, whether it's blood rituals, whether it's pedophilia, it's going on. And as a society, we shouldn't allow this stuff to go on for many obvious reasons. But for starters, secret societies shouldn't exist. Because I said it a million times and I'll say it a trillion more. Nothing good comes out of something being done in secret. If you tell somebody a secret, usually what does that mean? You're hiding something from someone else, or you don't want other people to know. And why would you not want them to know? Because obviously you did something wrong, or you did something you shouldn't have done, right? Or something you don't want out there. I mean, that's what, by definition, a secret is. So we have secret societies, and people just go, oh, it's like a fraternity, man. Right, a fraternity that has sex with goats, has sex with pig heads. But these are just normal allegations that come out, right? Just some kid making up a prank, and people go, oh, these rumors are unfounded, because they can't comprehend it going on. But trust me, worse is going on at these balls, these events. Worse is going on around the world, and we should put a stop to it. We shouldn't allow secret societies to exist. They shouldn't be allowed to exist, period. And what's scarier about it, as we all know, is that members of our government, all of them for the most part, especially in Congress, are members of these secret societies. So what could they be doing in secret? Oh, right, we're supposed to believe they're meeting in secret. They're discussing who they think's going to win the Bachelorette. They're discussing things like their workout regimens in secret. I mean, come on. The fact that this is allowed is just absolutely mind-boggling. So it goes on to talk about how this club has 6 masters, each within a minion. They're all given bizarre names, secret names. If you watch the video I did, now I did a video talking about Skull and Bones, and one of the things I forgot to mention in that video is that when these people are initiated in Skull and Bones and these secret societies, they're given new names, new identities. That doesn't mean that that is their public identity, but they have dual identity so that if they communicate over the phone, you know, if somebody's talking about George Bush, will have a different name. And they'll say, oh yeah, I know this. Or this is how they stay hidden and keep hidden. They have a public name, and then they have a secret name that only these members know the secret name. So if somebody's recording a phone call or going through an email, they won't know who they're talking about. So these secret names is very normal amongst the secret societies. Now, another thing that's frightening about it is that some people who showed up at the event, because remember, they bring in people to have sex with, to be involved in orgies. You know, there's females obviously involved. And, you know, a lot of these are male-dominant secret societies. The females have their own secret societies, but they bring them in. They're not necessarily members. And these people are reporting that, you know, the guards tell them when they get there that if they got drunk or they overdosed, they'd have to drive them 20 minutes away from the venue and put them in the middle of nowhere and call an ambulance, because they can't have it associated with this, you know, secretive ball that they're having, this secretive party that they're having. You know why? Because obviously they're doing things that they shouldn't be doing. Not just drinking and doing drugs, okay? Because obviously now we also know that the police and stuff are under their thumbnail and under their control. But still, nothing can get out in regards to the bestiality and the pedophilia that they perform, especially during these satanic rituals. But they fictionalize it to the point that people will not believe that this stuff is going on. And you can see from these pictures, I mean, the homosexuality, the transgenderism, it's all running rampant at these secret societies. You know, people are wearing Garden of Eden inspired clothing, it says, painting their faces, painting their bodies, walking around naked, saying it's a beautiful artistic expression. I mean, this is sick, bizarre stuff. And I'm not just saying it because you know, it's not something I'd attend and going, oh, you know, this is weird, let's talk about them because they're doing weird things. Because they're doing satanic rituals at these events. And this is, you know, these things don't just leak. Somebody didn't just go, oh yeah, they were having sex with a goat, and then 2 years later, oh yeah, they're having sex with a pig and a pig's head, and we saw the prime minister have sex with a pig's head. This is stuff that goes on. It's the same stuff we hear about where? Bohemian Grove, right? With the cremation of care ritual, about how young boys are prostituted into that camp and ritually killed and sexually abused. All of these secret things, Bohemian Grove, Bilderberg, Skull and, you know, the video I showed from Skull and Bones, how they do mock murder rituals. It shouldn't surprise anyone that this is going on, but people should be outraged, but unfortunately they're not. So this is in Oxford, folks, no big deal, another secret society going on, you know, that nobody seems to care about. And I'm not talking just about, you know, the fact that there's an orgy and homosexuality. Okay, we're talking about bestiality, pedophilia, and all sorts of satanic rituals that are going on that aren't being reported on, that are going on out in the middle of public. But remember, if you walk around and you speak the Bible out in public, you'll probably get arrested. We have channels getting taken down for free speech. We have all this stuff, but this stuff's allowed to go on. But people still don't want to believe that there's a satanic new world order in place, that these secret societies wield power that people can't even imagine. Nope. They get away with whatever they want, folks. And they do it all in secret, and nobody gets angry, nobody gets upset. Nobody goes, what could be happening in secret? They just go, who cares? I got to get back to my regular day. And if if something was really going on, it would be on the TV. We'd hear about it in the news. That's how naive they are. Yeah, the news is going to report about the satanic rituals. The same news reporters and anchors, the same people who own the networks, who are involved in these satanic rituals, who are involved in these pedophile rings. Of course they're not. Use common sense. But unfortunately, we live in a world where nobody even uses their own brain anymore. They let the government think for them, they let the TV think for them and influence them, and they let their false idols like Kim Kardashian and Kanye West think for them too, because they listen to music and then they suddenly think that they're, somebody who's listening to rap music or rock and roll music. They suddenly think that they're the musician and they can relate to the lyrics. Oh, I've had it so hard. Have you? You grew up in a mansion, in a cul-de-sac, okay? In a community somewhere. You didn't have a hard life. But they don't even know that they're not thinking, that they're being processed like out of a manufacturing plant. So this stuff continues to go on. Nobody seems to care. This is at Oxford. I've talked about Oxford, like I said earlier. We've talked about the Order. We've talked about all these secret societies, and they continue to get away with pedophilia, bestiality, all this stuff which they're normalizing around the world, and people still can't see the signs. It amazes me. I thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families.
This is the kind of magic that allows the audience to believe.
Make the moral choice between love versus hate. Let's do the right thing.
I'm an example of what it looks like when support and love is poured into someone.
Story is about love. It's about loving each other despite our differences and finding out the truth about who we are. We're the same people.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. Well, the Oscars, once again, obviously this is another one of these formats that I always talk about, like the Super Bowl halftime show, which is used as a massive platform for mind control to continue to push New World Order agendas and brainwash people into thinking that we live in this world that doesn't exist. And by that I mean the illusion of freedom that you see is that, just an illusion. And what is the common theme that we hear? Love conquers all. Love, 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 right? And now people out there watch these things and they allow these false idols to, what's the proper term? Influence, I guess, would be. Influence their decisions. Influence them on political agendas, right? That's why you have these people who make movies. They make fiction on film. And they go out there and they constantly are talking about Donald Trump and left versus right and getting people riled up, right? You have Spike Lee going up there talking about, let's have love win, right? You have other people talking about it's all about love, right? Which is what I've been talking about in terms of the Antichrist, because this whole New World Order is going to be set up in the name of love, okay? The whole purpose behind the wall is that the wall is a symbol of hate. And when the Antichrist comes, that wall will be torn down like many other walls in history, but this will be the most symbolic. This is nothing more than a show, but isn't it interesting? Let's take a look at some of the ridiculous things from the Oscars. Now, I only saw clips and certain stuff. I did not sit through this nightmare. I can't. But you'll see Spike Lee amongst many other people wearing this pin on their hats, on their coats, and it is a pin with what? A pyramid on the pin, right? What am I supposed to believe? That this represents what? Oh, is this some type of race equality thing? Is that what they're going to push and tell us? And they chose the pyramid as the symbol? Give me a break. And of course, the colors have to be black and white, right? They're Freemasonic, esoteric colors that they always shove down our throats. And you see celebrity after celebrity after celebrity wearing this pin on their head, on their hat, on their coats. You could see all of them, but they're all lined up. They're all wearing